Guys, welcome back to GWN. I'm Noctair, your host. So we just wrapped up another season of clan games, and I was pretty active. I got in there on all 40 of my games, and you can see here, I knocked out like 14 of them at 4,000, and then, the rest of them I'm not as active on right now. I'm not building them as much, so I just kind of, did the minimum of what I needed to do. Got some decent rewards, and I got some replays for you here. We're going to go ahead and get those started now. Lots of really big hauls, and I gotta tell you, this is one of the things that I absolutely love about the Clan Games week that happens every single season, because I'm able to get in there and find all these bases that have anywhere from 1 to 1.5 million of both gold and elixir, and anywhere from 6 to 9,000 in dark elixir. And you'll see that as I go through these replays. I think I got, I want to say there's 2 Town Hall 13s and then maybe 3 or 4 Town Hall 10 replays. I get this on all my games. I just happen to grab these particular ones because it really showcases just how much loot's available out there. And I made a killing during this last session of Clan Games. Got lots and lots of stuff upgrading. It's definitely, it's a blast. There's no doubt about it. I use dragons both in all of my war attacks as well as when I go out and farm usually. And I've got a couple of different army compositions depending upon what I'm going after. I mean, when I'm really trying to farm hard for regular elixir, usually towards the beginning of an upgrade, because I have to, like, say, upgrade camps or something like that. In that case, I use what I call Hegiwiz, and that's a collection of healers, giants, and wizards. And sometimes I'll toss some bombers in there just to help break my way in, but usually I'll take the 4 earthquake spells, and that'll be more than enough to open up just about any base. Not a big fan of running goblins or goblin knife, although, I do it sometimes in some of the lower level games. But when I start hitting my higher level games, I don't know, I just don't enjoy it as much for some reason. I'm just not into hitting just the resource collectors. I like to be able to really do a full attack and take out the whole base, And so many of these bases, especially the ones that are running at over 1 million in resources, they typically have a lot of resources stored up in the storages. So I really want to be able to dig in deep to get to everything. And Goblin Knife has just never done it for me. And like I said, I'll play it on some of the lower level ones, but once I hit Town Hall 10, probably even Town Hall 9, I'm not too fond of it at Town Hall 9 either, but definitely once I hit Town Hall 10, I tend to just shift to running war grade armies for most of what I go out and hit. I just like dragons. I think they're a ton of fun. And Town Halls 11, 12, and 13 all have Electro Dragons. And yeah, you go through a lot of elixir, but when you're hitting bases like these, who really cares? I mean, these first couple of replays we've gotten through so far, you can see there's more than enough to keep me going running a 350 to 400,000 elixir army. And that's, with both spells as well as troops. So, I mean, we're not talking about a lot. Well, I mean, it's a lot of resources, but we're not talking about not getting a lot, when you're pulling down 1 million in elixir. And if I want to conserve elixir, like I said, Hegiwiz does really well, but even then, you're spending a couple 100,000 anyway. So what's a little bit more, 150,000 more? It's not that big of a deal. Just running straight up dragons as opposed to the Electro Dragons like you've seen in these first few replays, it's largely the same thing. A lot of times, most of the time when I run dragons, I'll take along 4 lightning spells. And that takes out 2 of the air defenses on any of the bases, assuming I've got it maxed, of course. And that's usually more than enough for the dragons to penetrate all the way into the core of the base and typically get, well, at least a high 2-star, if not a full 3-star. And I use these same strategies up in Legends as well on my Town Hall 13 that I've got up there in my main game. I run an 8x8 Electro Dragons and Balloons with 3 rage spells and 5 free spells. That's kind of my go-to. Some of the lower ones, like the early Town Hall 11s I've got, I'll go ahead and run the 4 lightning spells there as well. But I usually really reserve that for when I'm running just straight up dragons. And when I take it into war, like right now as I'm making this video, we're running CWLs. I'll do the exact same thing. I'll use the same armies, dragons, because it really is the strongest and most versatile troop that you're going to get in this game. And when you're out farming, I think that's really what you need to have. And that's why I use it up in Legend. You need to have an army that is strong enough to take out just about anything that it runs up against, but is also versatile enough to do that. And ground, I just don't see ground as having the same level of versatility. I don't get the same number of options with a ground army as I do with an air army. You know, when I come up against a base that's got really strong walls, that ground army, it kind of falters just a little bit. You know, it's not quite as strong as an air, which can just plow right through the whole base. And I've always been kind of an airbender, even on the builder base. You guys know how much I love running minion drops, the drop ships and beta minions. That's always been my go-to. And even before I got the drop ships, I'm running the beta minions. So, I mean, air has just always kind of been my thing. It's what I do the best with. So, you pick what army you like and you just kind of go with it. Anymore, running so many games, I mean, I've got 40 games now. I want to have fun. And that's really what all these attacks are about for me, is having fun. Love to get the big wins and pull down, you know, 1 million or so in resources. I mean, don't get me wrong, that's awesome. But even when I'm only getting around, say, 500, 600,000 in the elixir and gold, and then maybe 4,000 or 5,000 in dark elixir, I'm still having fun when I'm running these war grade dragon armies. And even if it's a little bit spammy, it's still kind of cool to watch. Other armies that I've run, you know, lower levels, I run a lot of Jai Barch or just regular Barch. They do really well, but you don't see them going into these big hits, taking down, you know, 1 million plus in resources, because they're just not quite strong enough. Like I said, I've run the goblins with Goblin Knife. I've done that. My beloved Hegiwiz is something I start using at around, I guess around Town Hall 7. I'll run it all the way up through 8, 9, and into 10. Not nearly as much at 11, 12, and 13. That's something else I've noticed, is really the higher level Town Halls, especially at 13, but even 11 and 12, the defense is strong enough that you've got to have something more to really break these bases down. And that's not something that I think is lost on much of the player base. Case in point, with Town Hall 13, I've come to the grand conclusion that it is not a place where you can manage your resources across sessions. I mean, resource retention at Town Hall 13 is probably the worst that I've seen it at any Town Hall level in the game. And that's because everyone is going out with these extra strong armies and just taking everything out. I mean, if you've got the vast majority of players going out with war grade armies, and I think they do for the main part, it doesn't matter what base you run. It doesn't matter how things are set up. They're going to take you down, and they're going to destroy your base. They're going to get most of your resources that are available. So resource retention becomes a real problem. Now, if you think about it, you want them to get as high a percentage as they can to give you the longest potential shield that they can. If you just get hit twice a day, then that would be anywhere from 2 to 3 attacks to make up. So that's not so bad if you're an active player on a particular game. In my case, where I'm kind of running games along the way, and I'll get to most of my games during clan games. I'll do some stuff, and then, of course, during CWL, when I'm running my top 30 in the CWL attacks, I'll be hitting each and every one of those. But the bottom 10, they don't really see a whole lot of action. So resource retention is not an issue in the big scheme of things. I'm still not retaining much in the way of resources, but when you really kick it up, you're not losing as much because you're running more attacks, whether they're war attacks that give you 500,000, a million, whatever in resources, or it's going out and running 2 or 3 individual raids. You still end up coming out ahead. So yeah, retention is not really available at the higher Town Hall levels, but it's also not as much of an issue. And that's why some of my base designs have been changing. I've been trying different designs to try to protect, say, half of what I have available. But these armies, because they're so strong, they plow right through the base. I can't protect it. So I end up, losing that, and of course the trophies. So the new bases that I'm starting to work toward, and I haven't put any of these up yet. I'll share them with you guys when I finally do. Will protect against the goblin type attacks, where somebody just comes out and basically milks everything on your base and doesn't even get 29%, so that you end up being attacked over and over and over again and taking more hits than you should. But most of these bases I'm starting to work on now will strengthen the base against that attack and at least give them a little bit of a run for their money so they can't just plow right through. So there's some really cool big hauls that I've gotten during this last Clan Games. Hope you guys enjoyed watching the attacks. Comments, questions down below. Be back again in the near future with some more Clash of Clans videos, including stuff from the builder base. Y'all take care and keep on clashing. Bye now.